Oh, what? Our sound quality can't go down any worse than it is. Okay, welcome to Read It and Screech, the podcast
where it is not that we haven't learned our lesson about jumping into a car with a morally black stranger. Ugh. It's just that we really like them. To any reader who agrees this one's for you, that sucks.
If you're too loud, you can sit with us while I'll give you the Cliff's Notes and the cringiest quotes, and we go screeching all the way.
I hate that, by the way. I was listening.
You literally don't give a fuck. It's what I came up with. And until you come up with something better.
Do you want to know why it sounds bad? Because I was listening to it.
I don't. It's going to hurt my feelings.
It's because every single time it sounds like a Christmas thing. Cliff Notes, the craziest quotes to go screeching all the way.
Okay. I'm Grace, and this is my co-host, Ava. This week, we present My Driving Obsession by Lauren Beale.
I hate it already.
For a list of content warnings, go to www.laurenbeale.com.
My asshole.
Honestly, just don't read the book.
Go to my asshole.
Not content warnings for the book, not for us. So I very, very heavily censored the whole, even the plot summary had to be extensively censored. It was terrible. No brain space should be dedicated or wasted reading the book.
So we can all go home now.
No, we have to stay. But I'm not exaggerating one bit when I say that every single night for the past week, I have lulled myself to sleep imagining wiping the main character from existence. Like I just dreaming about taking him off the face of the planet has been what has gotten me to sleep for an entire week.
The main character's a dude?
Well, there's one of each. So this is by, obviously, Lauren Beale, the mind who brought us Frisky the Snowman.
See, it is Christmas! I told you.
It is 273 pages. The audio is 7 hours and 43 minutes.
Too long.
It is narrated by Troy Duran and Lark Holloway. Be comforted knowing that I did get this from the library. I did not give any money to it here. Take comfort knowing I did not support this author financially. The Goodreads is 3.67, which is far more generous than the negative 1,000 it deserved. I would like to start a petition for the author to donate all the proceeds from the book to the people who rated this with any stars on Goodreads to go to therapy.
She probably paid them to do it, so that's kind of a double.
The Goodreads?
Yeah.
Well, I think they should be made to use that money to work on themselves.
They're probably the same people that did that whole weird plug on TikTok where they were like, this is my literal least favorite genre of anything. The people who were like, I wear diapers when I read books.
Oh,
it's literally that is the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life, and I've been through some stuff.
This is a dark hitchhiker romance, a genre I did not know existed.
No, okay, so some people were murdered hiking over here, so no.
This should be banned. I'm not usually for book banning. I'm for this being banned. Also, the nickname that the guy calls the girl.
Who's a bird?
No, it's, damn it, tragedy.
So she knew where she was going. The book is a tragedy.
Also, after I got to chapter 20, I was reading the reviews to try to find out where I went wrong. And apparently there's a whole challenge, like on TikTok or whatever, to get past chapter 13. Because it's so bad, but I figured that out too late. So I was just like, why is no one aware of how horrible this was? But apparently it's the whole thing. Right. Thank fuck I got it from the library and I didn't spend any US dollars on it.
So it's a crime, and we're going to do it anyway.
Yep. So it's dual first person point of view.
I hate those.
It's set in New York City ? Because she mentions living in New York City, but also she lives in a trailer park. And I don't know the intersectionality of those things, but I'm pretty sure there's none in the city limits. So we have the main man. His name is Ambrose Sinclair.
Okay.
He's a giant man with mommy issues. Power and violence are his love language. He has dark blonde hair that is shaved on the sides due to the fact that it grows in patches, and he is scarred to shit all over the face and body. He has a huge pierced wiener, and he's a recovering alcoholic who has never, much to our detriment, succumbed to his injuries.
I already have a question immediately. I want to know if the people who think pierced wieners are hot have actually ever seen one. I went one time to have something pierced.
Not a wiener, I hope.
And I was looking through the book or whatever, and I was like, oh, this is cool, this is your work. And they were like, yeah. And I flipped to the last page, and they had those ribbon piercings, you know, like on someone's back. Have you seen where they do?
Yeah, all those freak me out.
And I got to the last page, and someone had done almost like that, a series of all down someone's ween. And I was like, is this yours? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, this, it also had tattoos on it. And he was like, and I was like, this is yours. And I was like, did you do it yourself? And he was like, yeah. And what he meant was it was not his own ween, because I thought he meant it was his own wiener. He had done the work. I would have, when I said it was this,
how'd that get there?
When I said, is this yours? I meant, is that your wiener? And he was like, yeah. And he meant, no, it's my work.
When I lived in Georgia, I lived in this by myself. I lived in this apartment, and the police came to my neighbor's house, like literally right next to me one time, and they were looking for someone who no longer lived there. And they came asking me like if I knew the person.
That happened to us once too.
Right. And he was like, well,
they're like, do you know where they went? And I was like, I don't know.
He was like, we need to, a police officer, mind you, was like, well, we're going to need to exchange contact information just in case this person comes back. Mind you, I'm like, a dangerous person is what they're making it sound like.
A lie.
He harassed me with, I want to say, pictures and descriptions of his pierced wiener.
A lie.
For so long, I had to block him.
A lie.
It was, and he knew where I lived, and he literally harassed me. Was like, have you ever seen a Jacob's ladder? And I was like, I don't think I even responded. And then he was like sending and sending and sending. It was terrible. Anyway.
Again, so the people who are like, yeah, pierced ween would be awesome. Have you ever really seen it? Because it's not great.
Okay. So unfortunately, Ambrose did not succumb to his injuries, and he's still kicking and he's thriving. Right. The main girl, Oakland Greer. She is a dancer, in parentheses, stripper, working at the club to save for a car.
The Clizza. The Clizza.
She's had a really hard life because her parents weren't supportive of her dream of becoming a Broadway star.
First off, her life wasn't hard enough.
Instead of going to medical school, and she got into a bad car accident one time.
Literally regular things happened to her.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like she got into med school, and she was like, no.
And a regular car wreck happened.
I want to dance.
I just want to dance.
It's a theme. We start off strong with Ambrose watching a stripper who reminds him of his mother.
I'm sorry, you watched your mother strip?
Mm-hmm. No one wants to dance on him, even for a wad of cash, because he's so ugly.
Really? He offered and they were like, no, none for Gretchen Wiener.
This is what's called an unreliable narrator.
Yeah, wasn't he like super hot and has a pierced ween?
That's what I'm saying.
Fuck you. This is horrible.
He calls her a dirty little whore and a judgmental bitch for saying no to him. He says his dick goes inverted around the naked ladies rather than going hard.
Oh, but if it's so big, how does that work? Fuck out of here. Where did the metal parts go?
Where did the piercing?
This is the worst one I've ever consumed. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
He leaves the
Bring back hating things. I hate this. Everyone is like, oh no, you go, Gwen, go. Everything's great. Everyone who ever produces anything is awesome. Fuck you. This is horrible. DNF immediately.
He leaves and goes to a warehouse where an illegal fight is going on.
And kills someone because other people's lives don't matter.
He makes his living here ripping people off with weird bets and fighting in the ring himself. Of course, he wins the fight, and afterwards his boss confronts him and makes him give him the money that he swindled through his weird bet earlier, and Ambrose throws it at him and it lands in a puddle of piss. Oakland is at work doing her thing, and she feels that picking up cash off the floor is degrading.
But not out of a puddle of piss.
Right. I knew a girl that was a stripper, and she said that picking up the money was the least degrading part.
Right.
She was like, who doesn't like picking up a pile of cash?
Do you remember when we used to DoorDash and you used to say you viewed it as driving around to pick up free money? Yeah. You're like, it's just laying around out there. Let's go get it.
Like Pokemon Go.
It's like that. It's already there. Let's just get it. Collection.
Right. I'm not going to leave money there. I won't walk past a penny on the ground. Right after she dances, the owner of the club comes up for a hearty grope, and he says he will pay her if she will let him inside of her.
In what format? Like Magic School Bus? Or like...
He says any hole. Any entrance. She says, ew, no. And so he takes a huge chunk of her money as his fee. And
the way that I wouldn't give him that either. I am the least inviting human being.
She contemplates sucking his dick for a ride home on her way out. Like, a better deal would be the original proposition.
Right.
And the first one, she
I don't want to fuck you for money, but I would rather suck your dick than walk home.
So listen, he says literally, he's like, hey, if you suck my dick, I'll give you the same amount of money you would have gotten in a whole night. And presumably not
Girl,
take his
what?
Food. so she could double her earnings and not give him the fee. So she begs a coworker for a ride home, but the coworker says no, she needs to get home to her kids. So she resorts to giving the boss, the owner, his warm, sweaty dick a hand job to take her home anyway.
How far away does she live? Next door?
The next day, she dances to her daily 3-minute song before her boss takes half of the money again, and so she runs out to avoid him this time. I see why it's taking so long to save for a car.
They let her dance one day.
She dances for one song and leaves.
Oh my god!
She tries to hitchhike home, and guess who pulls over to give her a ride?
The Golden State Killer. Please. Please, Lord.
Ambrose immediately tells her that he fights in an illegal fight club and tells her she's too pretty to be a whore.
Too bad.
Against his better judgment, he drops her off without hurting her. He goes home and tries to wank off the thoughts of her, but stops because she's a whore who doesn't deserve his cum.
Well, that's too bad, because she's not like she wanted it anyway.
Oakland goes home and, trigger warning, self-harms. That's all. That's the chapter.
First off, her whole life is self-harm. So I don't know if I need a trigger warning for that
Me
part.
reading this book was self-harm. The next day, Ambrose has a day off and decides he's going to be productive and starts stalking Oakland with intent to cause her harm. So he goes to the strip club and hides in a corner waiting for her. She's so pretty, it makes him angry, while all the other dancers...
No, that's a lie. Immediate lie. If she was so pretty, she'd have more than one fucking song at the time. She would be walking home. She'd be getting shitty blowjobs. So what's his name?
So she's so pretty, she makes him angry, while all the other dancers are haggard ghosts.
Oh, she's ugly.
Also, he can smell her from across the room.
So she's not pretty, because if she was pretty,
She's
she'd
not
have
very
a better
bright.
job. And she smells like shit, because if he can smell her across the room.
So he goes outside to pretend that he just happened to be in the area when she gets off. He's in luck though, because someone leaves the back door open and he sneaks into the back locker room, rubs his wiener all over her clothes, and comes in her shoes.
Ew!
He also leaves an acorn on her desk because she has a desk next to her locker, apparently, in the strip club.
I hate this.
Soon, Oakland has discovered the city bus and takes it to work.
Right. I was wondering about also the fucking subway, anybody?
She assumes that the dried cum in her shoes is hair gel that her coworkers put there to fuck with her.
Oh, okay. Dried, and also she doesn't work somewhere where splooge is often a thing.
Ambrose is there again watching her, and he leaves another acorn for her on the bar at the club, and then homeschool runs out. She finally puts it together that it was cum in her shoes, but she can't throw them away because she's a poor.
I'd rather be barefoot. I don't give a fuck.
She says, whatever happened to peeping toms?
That's what happened. That's what they do. Who are you?
Right, they escalate.
They literally splooge in your shoes.
She goes outside to call an Uber, and as luck would have it, Ambrose just happened to be in the neighborhood and offers her a ride.
Hi, I work for Uber XL.
So he finally has her in the car, but decides he can't hurt her this time because she isn't wearing a bra and she looks tired. Internally, he chides himself for having non-violent fantasies about her and his shameful erection. He asks her why she's a stripper, and she says it's because she needs money and she was born to dance.
Just want to dance.
Ambrose is shocked to learn that women have backstories and value as people in general. He dumps her at home and tells her to get the fuck out. And she's offended that he's such a dick and is not grateful at all for the ride. She finds him alluring and attractive despite his
Because she
fucked
hasn't
up
seen
face.
his ween yet.
She runs inside and grabs the key that she keeps under a non-discreet plant rather than on her person as a single woman living alone. Well,
Obviously, because we're setting up for later when he uses that.
she decides that a car will solve all of her problems, so she will keep fighting the good fight at the strip club to get one. Ambrose has another day off and uses it to Google Oakland and watches her dancing before her accident. What does he do, class? He prints off a screenshot of her dancing and winks to it.
Heaven forbid he just used the phone.
Sorry, he winks onto it. Oakland is late to work because the bus was running late, and when she gets there, a crusty picture is taped to the wall of the locker room.
And she thinks it's hair gel.
She is horrified and upset that she's not a ballerina anymore, and not because it's crusty as fuck. Her boss comes in and assaults her, but they are interrupted by a door slamming. And
They are interrupted. He is interrupted.
Yes. And he runs outside with his gun to see who it was. Ambrose is outside watching the boss and stewing because he wants to be the one who hurts her. He starts having second thoughts about her horse status and decides that maybe she isn't a good target for him to do grievous harm to. I hate him so much. She's
Sounds like the guy from Haunting Avalon.
somehow worse.
Because he's uglier.
Because he's into QAnon.
Because he isn't into QAnon. How is that? QAnon sucks.
That was, yeah, the guy's only redemptive quality was that QAnon was real. So she's clocked into her shift at this point, and he is jealous that she's giving private dances, and he wants to follow her to the back room to watch, so he bribes a girl who is too drunk to notice his scars to take him to the back. Thank the good Lord he doesn't have any interest in taking advantage of her. He just wanted to get to the back.
The stuff that's like gross and awful about books like these are the writers themselves have these like fantasies about these situations.
Yes.
And they're like, wouldn't it be so cool if someone like acted like this? Wouldn't it be so cool if I punched you in the face?
And I have a strong stomach. I have a very strong
for
stomach.
those of us who have been followed places, no.
So
That's not cute or funny at all.
he takes a video of her.
And then they like to pull that, well, no, I don't want someone to act like that in real life. Yes, you do. Don't be a fucking liar. You wrote it.
Right. So he takes a video of her doing the thing in the back room and runs home as fast as he can to edit the clip and put a clip art acorn in the corner of it. He emails the screenshot to her mother.
Why?
And then wanks off to it. So back with Oakland, her boss grabs her arm after work later and tells her, no hard feelings about what I did to you earlier. Ambrose is there to give her a ride per usual, during which her mother texts her horrified about the email that Ambrose sent.
Me too, Mom.
Ambrose, how did that get there?
You know what? The only thing that would make this funnier is if every single time that he did this, the acorn got a little bigger, and then it eventually became a tree, like a flip book. And she put them all together and was like, and then it was eventually a tree.
So he pulls over so she doesn't throw up in the car.
I already did.
Which would
It's
be
fine.
by far not the worst thing that's happened in there.
I already did.
He's giddy that he gets to watch her be so upset about it, but she won't give him the satisfaction
She already did.
of being upset, like super upset. So, and she's just take me home. So he files away her look of disappointment into his spank bank for later and drives the rest of the way as slowly as he can.
People are going around them.
So he gives her his phone number for safety reasons so that she can call him
Yeah,
for
in
rides.
case a man starts coming in your shoes. Who would want that to happen?
Oakland is grateful for his kindness and then goes inside and roofies herself with the bottle of vodka on her counter. Except for she didn't roofie herself. Ambrose did it by sneaking into the house with her blatant hide-a-key while she was in the shower. He snoops through her shit.
Nah, she wasn't in the shower. She don't take showers because she smells from across the room.
And cuts up all the outfits that she dances in and hangs her old ballerina tutu over her mirror before stealing her only pair of cotton panties, which is the real crime. Yeast infection.
I told you she don't shower. She still stank.
He goes through her phone and feels the thinnest shred of guilt in existence for what he's doing to her.
That's what he feels
Quickly
guilty
shoves it
about.
away. Right?
Only that.
Because she was looking at pictures of her old dance recitals. He then carries her to her bedroom and contemplates murdering her, but unfortunately he doesn't.
Yes, please.
He does leave an acorn for her.
Damn it! I would never read this book.
You shouldn't.
First off, this person full on read Haunting Out Loud and was like, yeah.
What if it was worse?
First off, they are trying to be worse.
What if I took the worst thing anyone's ever seen and I made it worse?
First off, whatever your name is, fuck you.
Just straight it up. So the only happy, and at the beginning, she's like, I like to write happily ever afters.
Bitch, no, you
This is a happily ever after. So where's the public execution?
First off, they like to write happily ever afters. They think if they're happy at the end, then it's a happily ever.
For that happily ever after.
They're
what-
like, it's only really happy if you're miserable the whole time and you rise from the ashes of it, which is why everyone's mad and angry at the way that men write.
Here's the thing.
If women are overcoming horrific assault, then it's a good ending.
Well, yeah, but
No!
to put them through on purpose.
No!
Here's a throwback to an earlier episode.
Fucking weirdo.
The last public execution using a guillotine in France
Was only 100 years ago?
was in like 1979, the year that Star Wars came out. And I would like them to bring it back. Just for the purpose of executing this man. She wakes up in bed wondering why she passed up from 2 drinks and throws up. She decides that it's her boss that's doing all this and she's going to get the hell out of town. So she calls Ambrose to give her a ride.
Oh my God.
She asks him to drive her to her family's cabin in Wisconsin and tells him she'll pay for gas and that he can stay
With
in
what money?
with her with the $85 she saved for a
For
car.
her 5 dances.
How have you worked at a strip club for 6 months and have not saved up enough for a fucking beater
Right.
to drive you to a different
That's what I
job?
tell people all the time. They're all mad at me and they're like, I'm paying $4,000 a month for my car insurance and my lease. And I'm like, don't pay that one time and buy a goddamn $2,000 shitbag car like everyone else. I don't want to do that. I really want to drive my 2024 Mazda. Well, you're on here every single day on TikTok, every single day dry begging because every single month you can't make your rent or your car payment.
What's wet begging?
I don't know.
Is it doing OnlyFans?
I guess. It's called dry begging. I don't know what wet begging is, but dry begging is this weird thing people do.
Ambrose is delighted and breaks the sound barrier driving over to pick her up. She says, "Thank God you're here," and gives him the address of the family cabin. He tells her she should get a desk job instead of dancing, and she tells him...
She's like, I have a desk. People keep
right, she does have a desk.
important on it.
She tells him that dancing is not that different than him making a living with his illegal fight club, and she's not wrong at all.
Yeah, both of our pussies are trash. We're both doing it for the man.
Oakland is trying to open up to Ambrose because she feels she should be vulnerable with the person helping her, and she could not be more wrong.
Based on what?
He asks her if she's trying to make her way to a whorehouse in the West.
I am, actually. Thank you for asking.
And she says, "Fuck you for being so rude about sex work."
Because this is 1850 San Francisco. I am, in fact, actually trying to get to a whorehouse. Take me there right now.
And she tells him that she does want to stop dancing at some point. She falls asleep in the car and he turns the heat on, which is his first act of decency.
Which is full of chloroform.
That he's shown her. He jerks his hand away from her when she tries to touch him, and it ends up with both of them having hurt feelings about touching each other.
It's very Twilight.
Mm-hmm. He starts having bad feelings about his plans to hurt her because she's a whore with dreams.
Aren't they always?
So they end up having to stop at a sketchy gas station so she can pee. And it's one of the ones that has those bathrooms outside. So she takes a piss and wipes with paper towels.
No.
And washes her hands without soap.
That's where I cannot suspend my disbelief.
When she goes to leave, the owner of the gas station barges in and attacks her. Ambrose comes to her rescue because once again, he's the only one who can abuse her. They have a grand old time beating the shit out of him together. Ambrose is impressed with her that she didn't willingly hook up with a rando gas station pervert despite her reputation as a whore with dreams.
Hell. You didn't fuck a gas station attendant upon meeting him for the first time, so you are the woman of my dreams. How is he not married already?
They get to the family cabin, and there's a key. Guess where the key is?
Under a fucking rock.
Ambrose decides to give her a whore test to see if she truly deserves to be the object of his not really suppressed mommy issues.
Actually, the only thing I'm surprised about is that there hasn't been someone actively squatting and therefore owns this cabin because of where they keep the keys.
He cuts the power to the house and goes to her room to seduce her. They kiss a little, and then he goes outside to turn the power back on. On his way out, he bumps his bag and an acorn rolls out. When the lights go back on, she sees it and decides to jump out the window to get away from him.
Me too.
And homeschool runs into the woods. He shames her for running away from her tormentor and tells her to face him.
Heaven forbid, okay.
Her bum-ass ankle from her car wreck a long time ago slows her down, and he catches up with her and attacks her. She tells him, "Don't kill me yet.
You're just doing this with the fuck outside.
Let's hang out for a few days, and I will convince you to let me live with my personality." He says, "Let my cum be what saves you," and fucks her in the grass.
Told you they were trying to fuck outside.
He carries her back to the cabin, and they smell each other.
Told you they
He gives her ice for her ankle, and she muses about how hot he is before falling asleep. Turns out he roofied her again. He's having more and more second thoughts about hurting her, but he remembers he has to wear a leather jacket in the summer, and his resolve returns.
He's remembering his dress code.
He's like, wow, I shouldn't be a piece of shit. And then he's like, well, I'm ugly and I have to wear a leather jacket, so she deserves it. Bummer that she saw the acorn because she was going to sleep with him when the power first went out. And he concludes she must really be a slut because she wanted to sleep with his ugly ass.
Aw, bummer.
She wakes up the next morning and thinks better of staying alive.
Bummer.
So she asks him to just do it already and grabs a knife and
Yes,
says,
please just do it already so we can go home.
she grabs a knife and says, I'll do it myself. And he says, no, you have to let me do it.
Right.
And gets mad at her, but he admires her initiative. He makes her shower. Meanwhile, he goes into town and gets her the ingredients to make her favorite drink. But
Roofies.
roofies are her favorite drink.
Absolutely they are.
He asks her why she didn't bring any clothes with her, but it's because he cut up all her shit the first time he roofied her.
Told you roofies were her favorite drink.
She decides that she likes being physically abused by him because it turns her on, but she won't admit it to him, so she runs into the bathroom to change.
Into what?
Oh, he got her clothes. Probably some more cotton underwear.
Okay.
She won't drink the drink he makes her on account of the amount of times he's roofied her.
Told you it was
And
roofies.
he says she's ungrateful.
You don't like my roofies.
He gets a spontaneous migraine mid-conversation,
Me too.
but it doesn't stop his incessant slut-shaming of her.
Me either.
She again tells him that they're both entertaining people with their bodies, and he says her life isn't as sad as his, so she's still worse. You don't have to wear a leather jacket, so
Me
you're
either.
a slut.
We're so similar.
She laments about how she really doesn't care about her life anymore due to the fact that she will never save enough money for a car. And he gets pissy with her that she won't share any more of her hopes and dreams with him because he's been so kind and supportive of her. She goes outside to sit on the dock to get away from him, but he follows her out there and throws her in the water without making sure she can swim.
She grew up in a lake house. I would assume she could swim.
Then he makes her give him an underwater lake blowjob.
And then she got a brain-eating amoeba and died. Please. Legionnaires, brain-eating amoeba.
This makes her feel safe, so she tells him...
Safe! You fucking liar.
So she tells him that her dream is to open a dance studio.
My dream is to never, ever be forced to give a lake blowjob to a disgusting man. Somebody write that down right now. Oh my God.
So she wants to open a dance.
If a man tried to make me give him a lake blowjob, I would bite his dick off. Thanks, I hate it. Do you know how disgusting lake water is?
So she tells him that her dream is to open a dance studio, but she knows it's likely unattainable due to the fact that it's taken her 6 months to get $80 to not save for a car. He also thinks her dream is unattainable, but doesn't say so because he doesn't want to hurt her feelings.
Yeah, you're not great at this.
He says, look at us. Both of us are so turned on and attracted to each other, even though we aren't each other's type. To which she replies, no, I'm a nice person stripper and you're a piece of shit stalker sex offender. Anyway, they make a deal that she will run into the woods and he will give her a head start.
Again, haunting Adeline.
Then if he can't...
Or the other one.
There's
What's the
a
other
bunch that I've read recently that had the scene in it. Then if he can't find her, he will let her go.
That's kind of how that works.
Right? And if he does, then she has to let him
No,
fuck
if you
her.
can't find me, then I'm going to tell you exactly where I am, and then you'll let me go.
So she runs and hides in a deer stand in the woods, and he finds her almost immediately. He says, now you have to fuck me like you like me, and he spits in her mouth after. This is my 13th reason. So they go back to the house, and now all of a sudden he feels like shit for everything because she's clearly dead inside, and it's exclusively his fault. He goes to shower and decides that when he gets out, he's going to go ahead and kill her.
Oh, thank God.
His plans are thwarted by her mom,
Who owns the cabin?
who has pulled up to the cabin to slut shame her
Thank God.
and asks her if
Me
she's
too.
saved up enough for a car by charging $1 per nipple.
First off, that's probably a better idea than what she did do.
Here's the thing about strippers. Literally, I've known multiple strippers and they unless they're really bad with money, which most of them aren't, they will buy a house in cash in 1 year. So the narrative of I've been stripping for 6 months, but I have $85 to my name.
Did they specifically say $85?
It's so untrue. She just allude that it's like nothing. And I know you can buy, again, a beater for $5,000. So I'm not kidding. I knew a girl who bought a house in cash and I knew another girl. I knew her like personally and she stripped for like a month and bought 2 brand new cars in cash.
Not her. Couldn't be her.
And had her own apartment. She was really young. She had her own apartment and townhouse and 2 cars in cash in like 1 month. Her mom says she's going to call the cops and tell them that Oakland was breaking and entering on the family property. He storms off and tells off the mom and tells Oakland to pack their shit and get going. He missed another opportunity to kill her because now her mom has seen him and would know he did it. I don't know if her mom would care. It seems like her mom would.
Her mom would kill her if she could.
Right. So off they go back to New York. He takes her back to this diner that they had stopped at on the way there, while she wonders if she wants him to change his mind about killing her or just fuck her again before he does. He says he has to kill her now because he's obsessed with her and will kill anyone who touches her.
Now the diner people have seen you together. Right. You're not great at this.
Then they kiss. They go to his apartment and she makes him drink a drink.
Roofies!
She makes him drink with her as a last resort, and he doesn't question it because, unlike her, he has him in roofied a dozen times, except for now. So she's drugged him.
Don't you roofies!
With the same roofie juice he used on her, and now she spits in his mouth.
No!
When he awakes, he finds that she wasted the opportunity to escape while he was gone and has fallen asleep on his bed. So they fuck and talk about their relationship, specifically that they need to build trust, and he needs to promise not to kill her.
This is horrible.
The happy couple decides to go out for a nice shopping trip to get her new clothes, and they're interrupted by his boss asking him when he's going to come back and fight, which reminds her that she also has a job. He wants her to quit stripping and tells her that he can take care of all their needs on his illegal fight club salary, and she says, what about the need for dance?
What about my car? The need for speed.
Also, he spent the whole first half of the book bitching about how little he gets paid to fight, and he's like trying to start a union with all the little fighters, but all of a sudden it's enough to support them both in this economy. He tells her, you have to choose me or stripping, but if that's the case, he will follow her and roofie her periodically for the rest of her life. Anyway, he leaves for bagels, and when he gets back, she's gone. And he's sad that the woman he stalked and tormented and tried to kill left him all alone. She goes back to work and finds a sad little acorn all alone on the floor. While she's waiting to go on stage for her daily 3-minute song, she hears a random guy at the bar talking about how the local underground fighting ring is planning to off one of their ugly ass top fighters since he's been trying to get all of them better pay. So she texts him to warn him, but he doesn't respond.
It's definitely him because he's the only ugly one.
He's the only ugly piece of
I heard them talking shit about this ugly ass trash can cum dumpster ass dude that had to be
they were talking about you until they called you ugly. I knew it had to be you. She texts him to warn him, but he doesn't respond. So she tells her boss she has to go, and he smacks her around about it. She stabs his ass with a letter opener and runs to the bus to save the nice, respectful man she's fallen for. She runs to the homeschool runs to the fight warehouse and gets caught up in a crazed mob. So he has to throw the fight so he can go save her. He is so flattered that she risked her life to save him. They go home, and the next morning he comes with a bag of lingerie and takes her on a surprise trip to the old club where she was working, and they fuck in front of her old boss who is tied to a chair. Then they murder him and burn the club down together as a team.
Ew!
The next day, he gets a call from one of the fellow fighters telling him that their former boss met an untimely death and asking does he want to run the club together. 6 months later, Ambrose surprises her by buying her a dance studio and a strip mall with the inheritance from his abusive mother, who we did not hear about until now. At least she's not pregnant because they would be horrible parents. The end. Blessings that there's an end.
Thank the Lord that's over.
Happily ever after.
Is that it's over. That was literally horrific.
Okay, Eva, where are they now?
I'm not doing that. Because I don't care. I don't want to know.
They have been wiped from existence per my falling asleep fantasies.
I wish that someone had deleted that book when she was writing it. And that all that we had from her was her making whiny TikToks about how she got scammed in college because someone deleted her masterpiece.
Also, this had to have been traditionally published because I got it from the library.
That's horrible.
So that means the publisher was like, I'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Give me 14 of them. How would you fix it? What's Eva's quick fiction fix?
I just told you how I would have fixed it.
But still delete it.
I would have deleted it when I ran into her in college and she was showing her masterpiece.
I would have. So basically the way that he got his scars was that his mom went insane when he was a kid and abused him. And I feel that she should have finished the job.
I would have gotten a time machine and gone back and met this person in a bar and deleted the book. I would have ran into her at Starbucks coffee
This was the one of the...
and spilled something on her laptop that had the only copy on it.
Didn't I tell you that this was going to be the worst one?
This is the worst one.
I told you this was the worst one.
This was a crime. This was a sin.
This was worse than anything we've ever read. And somebody mentioned in the reviews that they just, he's morally gray.
No.
And to be fair, she did say at the beginning, he's morally black, but other people kept saying oh, it's morally gray. This is not morally gray.
You're a sinner.
This guy deserves
Jail.
Literal jail. Men have access to this book. They didn't check my ID before I got the book end of the thing. And that pissed me off too. Men are allowed to read this.
I'm sorry, what would men and your ID have anything to do with that?
Because men can read it and they'll be like, yeah.
Okay, why would men and your ID again?
Underage people could read it.
Oh.
No, they didn't ask for my ID. I'm like, what if a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old?
Get a book out.
Right. They should. I've never thought so till now. Like a 15-year-old boy could read this and be like, yeah. Like when they watch too much porn and then their wieners were weird.
I saw one of those the other day. One of those weird girls who's all about that makes one of those weird ass posts. And have you noticed how those people are hyperverbal? Like hyperverbal.
Those people.
The people who have so much to say about porn.
Yeah.
Addiction. Like they will write pages. It'll never just be like, oh, I don't agree with porn and move on. It'll be like, porn at the dawn of time. Girl! Love and marriage was meant to be the cherry on the top of an ice cream cone. And then you don't touch it the whole time. And then it sinks to the bottom so that when you're happy and in love, you eat all the things around it, and then when you get to the bottom, you have the cherry. And why are you writing this? Fucking weird. It's never, and it's lengthy. And then they'll have videos of themselves sobbing because they found out he looked at it one time.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for listening to Read It and Screech. I'm sorry you listened to Read It and Screech this week. If you'd like to support,
you probably won't after this.
You can rate. No
regret.
Don't rate or review, but you could subscribe. I would ask you not to rate or review this one. If you're gonna rate and review, go rate and review this book as a -10. Go report this person for criminal activity.
Yeah.
Lauren Beale was the name.
Jail.
Okay, bye.